Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the number one horror podcast on your favorite spicy sites. Getting off. I am your host, the patron saint of podcasting, the warden Matt Ritter, and I am here with my esteemed panel today. First, she is host of the She League Showcase, Inside the Mind of, In the Crowd, and Story Time with Miss Katie Kinsey Bay.
Hey.
He is the host of Botch Spots and Chair Shots, Botch Spots After Dark, and purveyor of Rivet City Radio, a chef by trade, a mark by choice, the Will Gray.
I'm just really glad to be here, guys.
I know you are. And from, we actually have two kings in the house, ladies and gentlemen, but from Young Kings Wrestling, he is TCF baby. Please say the baby. And Dr. Reek Baker, BBC.
What's up?
How y'all doing?
That's so wild every time. It's just wild.
And he got it twice this week.
I
did.
Back.
Theme.
So, for those of you who are unaware, we decided to do a panel episode. I dubbed it Panel of the Dead. It is us discussing zombie movies. This was Will's labor of love. He went out and campaigned very, very hard to make sure that we were covering zombie movies, and we are here covering zombie movies. We each picked a movie. And yes, TC's pick does count as a movie. Before anyone asks that question, it's a short film, therefore it qualifies. Technically, my pick also counts as a movie, even though I think everyone hated it. At least that's the impression that I got, which is all good. Which is all good. Neither here nor there. But yeah, no, we each picked we each picked a zombie movie. We have 5 zombie movies to discuss. And the way I think I want to do this is I'm just going to start with TC, and I'm going to have him tell us about his movie, why he chose it, and then we'll all kind of break down and discuss it. Also, Will and the crew over at Nerdy News 420 has developed a horror movie ranking scale that they dubbed the Ritter scale, but we're going to call it the Getting Off scale. And I'll let Will kind of explain that to you guys, and we'll rank the movies based on the Getting Off scale as we go through them. But Will, please tell us about this this idea that you had for a movie ranking scale based on me.
Well, no free shout-outs, but every Tuesday and Thursday at 4:20 Eastern Standard Time, we have Nerdy News at 4:20 over on Rivet City Radio. It's our homage to Creation Conversation, where me and my buddy Bo, or me and my homegirl Bridget, hang out and we watch trailers and react to nerd news headlines and music headlines and things of the sort. And me and Bo, specifically that side of the pair, do the 420 Up in Smoke Cinema Club. And what that is every so often we'll watch a movie together and like talk about it and review it and react to it. He and I have been watching and reviewing a ton of horror movies lately. And because of that, we decided on Thursday that we were going to eloquently call it the Ritter scale. So what we decided was I gave Matt the idea. I said, I need a 10 out of 10 movie, a 5 out of 10 movie, and a 1 out of 10 movie. So I know what you think is the fucking shits, what you think is mid as mid can be, and which I think is like horror film perfection. And that's what we're basing it off of. So I'm like, okay, if Matt thinks this is a 10 out of 10, then, you know, like that's what I have something comparable to go off of. So over there, we're just going to base it off of that. And that was our original concept.
And the movies you were given for a 10 out of 10 was 1978's Halloween as a perfect 10. The 5 out of 10 was WWE produced See No Evil. And the 1 out of 10, also WWE produced movie Barricade, that Katie and I trudged through during our WWE produced movie watch along. That was probably the worst horror movie I think we've sat down and watched to date.
Just movie in general, but yeah.
Yeah, no, Barricade was fucking terrible. So
Terrible time.
And then I also gave you some alternatives just in case, because I know you said you hadn't seen Barricade, so I threw out the Night of the Demons remake as also really, really bad 1 out of 10. Basically, but we are here to discuss the movies, and as I said, TC, we're going to start with you. So tell everyone why you picked Thriller after you unmute yourself.
I was muted this whole time. My bad. Thriller. Let's talk about Thriller. I saved this for we did a little preview on Young Kings Wrestling this week. Thriller. This, by a lot of people's accounts, the GOAT music video of all artists by the GOAT artist from the GOAT album. 37 weeks on the charts, so you can't really argue that. That's like, I don't know how many times Diamond at this point. It's a lot of diamonds. That's 10 million. So I think it's like 4 times Diamond, something like that. Thriller, directed by John Landis, Twilight Zone. Google that at your risk. Yes. Also Coming to America. He directed that. He also worked with Michael Jackson a few years later on the Bad album, producing the Black or White video. Michael Jackson. I might just save some of my other Michael Jackson notes here, but Thriller is one of the best music videos of all time. Before Thriller, Black artists weren't really getting played on MTV and having their videos on there. They didn't really have videos that often. I don't even know where they were broadcast before Thriller just decided, let's get more Black people on here because Michael Jackson is just changing everything. I could talk all day about Michael Jackson. If you don't know, huge Michael Jackson fan if you can't tell. But shout out to Thriller. I'll talk more about how I feel about it once we discuss it.
All right, well, we're going to discuss it. We're doing your movie first. I took some notes. Now, when I took notes, cool. I took the notes as if I was watching a zombie movie. I excluded the fact that this is Michael Jackson and everything that you said about this music video, this song, the album, all of that is true. I just looked at it purely as if this was a zombie movie, a zombie short film. And I did have a couple issues. One was the fact that Michael turned into a zombie without ever being bit or scratched or infected in any way, shape, or form, and then turned back human to do his dance scenes while everyone else was dancing as a zombie.
True.
Now, I didn't understand why he couldn't dance in the makeup like everyone else could, but that hurt my feelings a little bit. I was like, you gotta commit. Also, was he a werewolf or a werecat at one point?
He was a Thundercat.
He was a Thundercat?
Yeah. I don't know what the hell that was. Listen, that shit used to scare the hell out of me. Listen.
I said that too. I watched it. I'm like, this just triggered some past trauma for me. Because I remember watching, like, okay, this is supposed to be a music video. Why is this shit like this right now?
In all honesty,
the zombie scene didn't scare me as much. The werewolf part frightened me. I had recurrent nightmares for until I was 9 years old of dead ass, of the werewolf scene, just me getting chased by some fucking werewolf. That shit scared the hell out of me. I stopped being a pussy at one point and I could watch the video no problem. But up until then, I was scared of Thriller. So yeah, the zombie stuff, not as scary as the fictional movie that somehow Michael Jackson and his girlfriend were starring in, and then they acted like she was too scared to watch her own movie. That was kind of strange. But I digress.
Well, that's the cool thing about this, right? It's a music video, but it's a lot more of it's a 13-minute short film with music in it than it really is a music video with just kind of like a narrative effect. There's more of the movie in the short film than there is them actually doing the song in it. So you do get the zombies coming out, and the effects are fucking fantastic. Zombies coming out of the grave, them doing the dance, them chasing her into the house, before she wakes up and the house is back to normal and all that. Really good shit. I also really enjoy like the opening disclaimer that this is not an endorsement of the occult based on Michael's views on the occult.
Yeah.
Just for those who were worried. I also like how he like brought her out and he's like, "Hey, I want you to be my girl," and she's like, "Absolutely," and then immediately turns into a werewolf. Like, gotcha, bitch. But
for a meal.
I've said enough. Katie, Will, Reek, go ahead.
Anybody?
TC said a lot of my notes. As a musician, you think of Michael Jackson's one of those names that's at the top of every list, no matter what kind of music you study and play. Like he's that influential into the music business. I also had the note that up to a certain point, his music videos cost more than anybody else in history. Like this one and the one he did with Janet when they were in space. Scream. Like the Scream music video was the first like 7-figure music video in the 90s. And that was like unheard of at the time for what they spent. So I think that was like, that's kind of crazy to think about because some of the stuff TC was talking about, because especially in the 70s and 80s in Michael's career, nobody was betting on people of color. And then by the time we got here, people was just, they knew Michael Jackson was money waiting to be printed. And I think that looking at this versus the first 20 years of what he did coming up from the Jackson 5 as a kid to where he was at when he started being able to do whatever the fuck he wanted because he was Michael Jackson, like that's one of the coolest things about his rise, is because he went from that kid who was, you know, all the stories with his dad and his family to being the guy that, you know, like the biggest name in music is just, you know, the ultimate ascent. That's the coolest fucking rocket story ever. You know, like they say it in wrestling, put a rocket ship on him. And I think that's the coolest, one of the coolest stories in music to begin with. Zombie wise for this, practical effects are off the charts. Short film wise, in film school, they talk about like your 8 points of story, like the way your movie should be put together. Cause they say in a short film, you only have, you know, between 10 and 20 minutes to finish a story. So you've got to be able to cram everything in there. And they did a fairly good job. You know what I mean? They didn't need more than 2 characters. They used a lot of extras in your scenes to tell the story, the house, the movie theater, the graveyard, like everything they put together. And they did a lot in 13 minutes. Way the fuck more than Zombie Strippers did in 96.
We're not there yet.
I have one for every other movie, Matt. Just wait.
I will also give credit to the fact that this is one of 3 movies that had an actual zombie virus where people return from the dead, which is, in my opinion, the technical definition of what a zombie is someone who has died and come back. But we'll talk about movies where that's not necessarily the case when we get there. I also love that Michael, at least for this, and I'm just going to make this the narrative, watched horror movies the way I watch horror movies. Like everyone else is gasping and going ooh and ah, and he's got a big old smile on his face, just shoving popcorn in his mouth, having a good fucking time. Like, I appreciate that. I was like,
you're not having a good time, you can go.
Big red flag. She got up. I was like, no, fuck you. Peace. I'll see you after the movie. I'll catch you on the way home.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we didn't come here to.
He thought about it for a second. He was like, yo, I'll go get her. God damn it. I'm going to miss the movie. I don't care. He thought about it, though.
Yeah, man. You're supposed to be down with the vibes. Like, we're not here to be cute. We're here to watch this movie. I honestly, like, y'all said everything. I like, if I would say anything, like it could have been longer, honestly. Like you just, you know, throw it like make a whole opera out of it. You know what I'm saying?
A full-length feature film, like a whole ass musical.
We don't have to do that. Just throw another 30 minutes in there. Make it about 45 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Throw another song in the mix to make it operatic. You know, like you could have did that, but it's good for what it is. You know, it's a classic. Y'all said everything.
And it ended on a cliffhanger. with his
Ooh,
eyes
mhm.
at the end of it. See, they even gave us what we needed to have a part 2. It could have
That's-
easily been a part 2 and made it like a 30-minute thing from beginning and
Right.
the end. Like
That's
Thriller
honestly what-
walked so R. Kelly could run into the closet. You know what I'm saying?
Woo!
Like
Oh,
with the
Oh,
multi-part series stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, that's wild. Yeah, no, that's honestly like
No comment.
that's what used to
Mm.
crazy.
Go ahead,
That's what
Katie.
used to freak the eyes. The eyes used to freak me out so much that like
That too, man.
ooh.
Now I guess I'll talk. I mean, there's not much else to add on to what has been said. Nobody talked about I believe I don't know, I think it's John Walter's voice for the voiceover, which is probably the creepiest part. Like
The rap is Vincent Price.
Vincent Price. Oh, I was thinking of somebody else. Yeah. But no, that part alone is probably the creepiest part about this. His voice is creepy. I have no issue with the music video itself. It's that part I don't like it. But
I did enjoy the narration.
I did, but like it scares me. I don't like it.
That's the idea. That's the point.
Well, Katie, I'll start with you. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being Halloween and 1 being Barricade, where do you rank Thriller as a zombie movie?
This gets like a 6.
All right. Will?
as both a music video and a short film, this is easily a 9 out of 10.
All right. Reek?
Oh, same. I'm going 9 easily.
TC?
As much as I put it over, I'm gonna go 9 as well. Somebody needed to die. It would have got a 10 from me. But I understand we gotta have this on TV. And this is 1982 we're talking about. So like we can't have somebody dying, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
outside of that, yeah, 9. Like Michael Jackson was probably like I think the first artist to get like Hollywood directors for his videos too. You know, he got Martin Scorsese for Bad, bro. That's crazy. He got John Singleton for Remember the Time. And he got, like I said, John Landis for this. So he's up there. He knows what he's doing. Like, he's no stranger to Hollywood. He's a young child star. He did everything.
Right.
He can make a film. I wish he did more of it.
For the same reasons that TC said, and then the reason I brought up with the whole Michael zombie transformation, I'm actually going to go with Katie and go with a 6 out of 10. Had Michael stayed in makeup the entire time once he transformed, or had I seen Michael at least get touched by a zombie before he turned into one, I would have brought my rank up a little bit. But since this man was just hopping in and out of zombie mode all willy-nilly with no explanation, it is still what it is. It's still better than
He
that.
can walk backwards. Why is the
He
other
can
stuff
walk backwards
surprising?
without being a zombie. Like,
True.
so, Will, 3 9s, 2 6s. What's the average there?
3 9s, 2 6s. So we're at a 5.25. No, that's not possible. Hold
That's
on.
not right. That's not right at all.
9 plus 9 plus 6 plus 6.
Plus
So-
9.
Yeah. 7.8.
Okay. So we'll give it an 8 out of 10.
8 out of
Average.
10.
All right. Well, the first of 2 movies with a rage virus. Reek, why did you pick The Crazies 2010?
Oh man.
Didn't pick The Crazies.
I was about to
Or,
say
no, Dawn of
sorry,
the Dead.
I picked
You
Dawn
picked
of
Dawn
the
of the Dead. You picked The
Yeah.
Crazies. That's right. Reek, why did you pick Dawn of the Dead?
There you go.
Honestly, I hadn't watched it in so long. Like I remember like when it first came out, this was kind of like going into that phase where zombies were starting to get to be a thing again. And I remember like it just being like a solid ass zombie movie, like it's in the Romero verse, because Night of the Living Dead is pretty much everyone's first zombie movie. It was my first zombie movie. but yeah, I thought like it was well put together. You know what I'm saying? And after watching it again, I was hooked all over again. Like it had been that long. Like they sucked me in watching it. So I'm saying pause. But it was good. I thought it was pretty solid.
All right. I don't know why, but I always think that Day of the Dead is the one with the mall, not Dawn of the Dead. And then I always think Dawn of the Dead is Land of the Dead. I confuse them all of the fucking time. However, this movie gave us Ving Rhames, Mekhi Phifer, Ty Burrell, and Ken Foree. For those of you who listen to us doing Devil's Rejects, you know all about
Keenan
Ken
and
Foree.
Kel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that too. It opens up with this couple's daughter being infected and attacking the dad, and that is my worst fucking nightmare, would be to wake up and see my daughter as a zombie, and I'd probably go out the same way he did. I'm not gonna lie. Like, if Zoe was gone, there ain't no point in trying to survive this at that point. I'm just take me with you. It is what it is. What else? Posting up.
Imagine the apocalypse beginning. You getting cheeks, and you don't know the apocalypse is happening because you getting some cheeks, and you don't know until you wake up the next morning. But by that time, y'all done fucked up. It's too late.
That's a fact.
I'm trying to think if I was getting cheeks before we found out that the pandemic was a thing.
Mm.
I don't remember. Maybe. Posting up in a mall is the best, worst decision ever.
I agree.
Too many points of entry.
Too many points of entry. Katie, you said stupid?
Yeah. No, don't go there. That's a terrible place to be.
I mean, it's got a lot of room. It's got a lot of places to hide.
It's spacious.
A lot of bathrooms.
Nobody went to the food court.
Right?
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, that's the first place I would have went to. I would have stayed there.
They were using that little coffee shop. Like, they didn't actually go around to actually find, like, some actual food around there.
I ain't want no Sbarro, nothing. You want an orange Julius?
Listen.
Like, bro.
This is why I can't do something like that.
You're telling me you wouldn't go to a mall?
No, hell no.
Well, who the fuck is going to make us pretzels then at Auntie Anne's?
Fuck you. I don't work for them.
I know you don't, but you know how they work. You know how it works.
I don't. No, I don't.
You know how to make pretzels.
They are different.
If I'm stuck in the mall, damn it, I need some Auntie Anne's. So,
ain't getting them for me.
Gonna buy too, bro.
Y'all can figure it out yourselves.
That's fucked up.
How fucking
other notes I got: zombie fetus has to be the Antichrist. Like
that was the ugliest thing.
What the fuck, bro?
That whole situation pissed me off. That whole situation.
Man, you got Mekhi Phifer just holding this shit like everything's all good. Like, you know this baby's fucked up. Get rid of it, bro.
He was
or fucking kill yourself. Stop being selfish. Yeah, the angry black man.
He knew from the
you gotta have one of those in every movie.
He heard everything. He heard the bites infection. He knew he didn't give two fucks. It was his family. They were having this baby. He didn't care.
They sat up there. They had the whole conversation about it. He heard that one thing about the bites and just walked away. Like, yeah, I'm gonna have a whole conversation about this.
Niggas, man.
Then he lost his mind and had a shootout with a grandma.
It's like she did nothing wrong.
You trying to take my family away from me?
Yes.
Like, what you gonna do? She's tied up. All she's gonna do is eat your face off. Like, what you gonna do with her? Talking about that's your family.
He lost his damn mind. The security guards sucked at first, except for CJ. CJ was redeemable, and he also wasn't wrong. Like he had that place locked down. He's like, I ain't letting nobody in here, and letting people in was the downfall of the mall. Like he had an entire mall to himself. Don't get me wrong. I understand. Like it's a zombie apocalypse. You might want to let like a couple women in. Just for if you're gonna be there a while.
Longevity
Female
sake.
company is nice
Yeah.
to have,
Yeah.
but
Population might be
CJ
down.
wasn't
You
wrong.
might need to up those numbers.
because the first thing they did was bring 2 infected motherfuckers into the place,
Right.
like immediately.
She's in there. She's laying in a wheelbarrow. Her veins all sticking out. You don't think like maybe we shouldn't bring her inside?
Yeah, literally.
Also, if you guys are unfamiliar, there is a version of Disturbed's "Down with the Sickness" played by
Oh yes.
Richard Cheese, who did a lot of back at that time. He was doing a lot of lounge versions of popular rock and hip hop and all sorts of songs. So I forgot about that, and that was in there, and I was like, I have not heard Richard Cheese since probably 2004. So that was a nice little callback.
No, that popped me because like I never heard this song before until I realized what song it was. I was like, hold on, is this Disturbed? And I was like, yo, this is hard.
Mhm.
And I went and checked out his other shit. Like, he literally is a lounge cover artist.
Yep.
That's fire. That's a great niche to be into. I've never heard of anything like
My wife actually, there's some lounge artists that do covers that she's not big into covers, but there are a few. There's one of Radiohead's "Creep" that she absolutely loves that's done by a female lounge singer. So there's actually some really cool lounge covers out there if you go looking for them. I think it's something jukebox. Fuck, I'd have to look it up. I'll look it up later. But no, they got some really good shit. My favorite zombie was the legless monkey bar zombie that dropped on dude in the parking lot when they found the dog, and they're like, "Oh, it was just a dog
It was a whole setup.
Give him a second. There you go.
with no legs."
Mhm.
We got boobs. We know how I feel about boobs in horror movies.
We love
This was
titties.
one of the only movies that gave us boobs because old boy from Modern Family was banging that blonde consistently.
Thanks.
And this is the only of all of the zombie movies we picked. This is the only one that has my favorite zombie movie trope, which is the apocalypse cars, where you take a car and you deck it out to drive through the zombie apocalypse with all of the fucking cages and the metal and the fucking. They had the holes for the fucking chainsaws to cut them off the side. Like, love that shit. That is my favorite zombie apocalypse trope. Is apocalypse cars.
They had that shit looking like Twisted Metal.
yes.
Mad Max. Yeah, that's what I thought when I saw it was Mad Max.
And my last note is, of course, there is a white girl that risks everything for a fucking dog. And I would have just left her ass. I would not have
Yeah,
done.
man.
I would have cut my losses. Sorry, bye.
Yeah.
Y'all fucked up letting the dog go and try to deliver food to the dude anyway. Y'all fucked up just giving them a path to come through. Like y'all
Right.
should have just said fuck it. He could have just walked out for that. That pissed me off.
True.
What
Like,
other
honestly, you
notes
could have, if you was gonna drive over there, if you was gonna take that van over there, you just park it at the door. He come out through the slide door, get in the car, you just drive back. Like, it would have been that easy.
Yeah. What a notes.
Or how the fuck did they get in there anyway? Like they ended up getting in there at some point anyway. How did what were they climb through the sewer or something?
No, he had to lift the door up to let the dog in, and then the zombie caught the door before it closed.
Yeah.
And they picked it up, and then they all just kind of filtered in that motherfucker behind the dog.
No, I mean like when like the whole crew ended up in the gun shop after that. Like how did they get in there?
Same way. I think, right? They went through that slide door.
I don't remember that part. I just next thing like I just saw that they were just in there and I was like, how the fuck did they get in there?
Personally, I don't think Ving Rhames is fitting through that door, but that's neither here nor there.
Hey.
Nah.
Zeus could not make it through that door. I'm just saying. Will, go ahead.
Okay. My notes for this one are pretty short, sweet, and concise. I think that from beginning to end, especially in the Romero zombie verse, you get all the things from a Romero zombie movie you would expect. You get the apocalypse cars, you get different types of zombies, fast zombies, zombies with no legs, you get zombies that are like, it's different levels of decomposition on the zombies, even though everybody got infected all at the same time. Like, you get a lot of the zombie movie cliches. I liked that they added the little bit of comedy to it. Ving Rhames playing chess with Andy, and he's like, fuck this, we need a new game. Like small things like that, like figuring out ways. Yeah, like I thought that kind of shit was funny. How nonchalant the security guards were about dude letting them out and then them taking over and then them immediately turning and siding with them. I was like, why did, if they all wanted the same thing, why did they let this one dude lock them up in the first place? Like, if nobody wanted that to happen, like, did he really have that much power? Because immediately all of his boys on the security team were like, oh yeah, no, fuck that guy. Like, lock him up, like nobody stayed on his side. Nobody was like, wait a second.
He had one buddy that stayed with him. It was just a young kid that was trying to fuck the chick with the dog that was like, nah, you got to go. But they locked two of them up. They locked CJ and the bald motherfucker up, who looks like a rent-a-cop on a power trip. Like, he looks like that, typecast perfectly.
Well, okay. Well, still, I think that the one thing, if I were to give this a spit, I feel like the going to the mall specifically was a bad idea because it kind of gave you a one-shot feel to this movie. With it being 90% in the mall, everything looked the same. And I feel like with it being a zombie movie and all the action pretty much being the same, and then all your locations are pretty much the same, it becomes a very almost monochromatic film. There's not a whole lot to make your eyes pop outside of jump scares and stuff. So that might be my one big takeaway, is that I felt like this movie from beginning to end looked the same. There wasn't a whole lot that changed throughout the movie. I also have that same note for the Crazies as well, and when we get there. But one thing that I did like about this gave us a whole lot of zombie movie tropes. It gave us a whole lot of action, and it gave us all of that really cool stuff. But it also gave us boobs. So I feel like it gave us all the things that zombie strippers tried to do just the right way.
Fuck you. Katie, thoughts?
Again, a lot of everything I have written down was said. I do like the ending when they're like going through the credits, but they're like cutting to like camera footage of them on the boat. And then at the very end, all the zombies come out on the island. That I thought was really fucking cool to do. The makeup was really good. It seemed like they didn't use a lot of CGI or anything like that, so I always appreciate that. Yeah, I didn't have an issue with this movie. Comedy was good. But yeah, it was fine.
I have a note about the makeup. I have two notes about the makeup. Okay. One thing I totally forgot. Tom Savini was in this movie. He was the sheriff. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I totally forgot about that. But speaking of the makeup, you know who did the special effects in this movie? Ooh. Heather Langenkamp. Because her and her husband had that company that they started up, and she was doing special effects for this movie. So her and Tom Savini in this movie was pretty dope.
That's incredible. I saw her name in the credits, but like I didn't see what it was for, and then I forgot to go back to look.
I looked it up immediately because I'm like, wait a minute.
All right. TC, any final thoughts before we give our rating on this?
Yeah, I love the action in this one. I think this is probably the most action packed out of all of them that we watched. And that kept me engaged, which, I mean, Thriller is 13 minutes long, but like I was engaged more in Dawn of the Dead than any of the movies we watch, just simply off of the action, which is what I want. Like, we got a zombie apocalypse. I'm expecting nonstop terror if they can help it. I mean, they were able to barricade themselves in the mall to prevent that, but it was kind of one of those things that was natural too, because you feel like you want to strategize a way to get out of this situation, and then you just end up fucking up. Like, you took that risk. That happened with the whole dog giving the food out, with the whole, driving the truck thing. Old girl got the shit fucked out of her with the chainsaw. That was crazy. That was crazy.
I literally wrote in my notes bad chainsaw etiquette. Cause it's like, why are you just swinging this one picture? Like, you're not driving steady. They was hitting corners all over the place. Like, why are you walking around carrying this shit so that somebody could catch it?
Yeah, crazy. That was insane. That was probably my favorite part of the movie. Like, because shit like that could probably happen for real when you're in that situation. So it was real intense. Zack Snyder chose the proper moments to dial the intensity down a little bit. Just let us breathe a little bit as the audience, but then pick that shit right back up. Probably my favorite out of all the things that we watched, honestly.
Well, what do you rank it out of 10, TC?
Out of 10, I'm gonna give it an 8.
All right.
Some dumb shit went down, but it is what it is.
Reek?
I'm gonna go 9. Like I said, like once we got to like the third, 3/4 into it, I was like, okay, I'm sucked back into this. Like, it was doing it for me.
William?
This is an 8 out of 10 for me. This is one of my favorite zombie movies outside of the Danny Boyle universe.
Katie?
I'm also going to give it an 8.
Yeah, I think we're all pretty consistent with the 8. With I agree with TC. This was, of everything that we watched, I mean, George Romero is the guy that's known for zombies. This was my favorite thing total that we watched as far as zombie stuff goes. So 8 as well. Now the movie that TC had a hard time staying awake for, Will, the entire reason that you wanted this panel to be zombies so that you could make us rewatch this movie. Go ahead and tell us about 28 Days Later.
Okay, the reason why I picked 28 Days Later, and in my opinion as to why it's the perfect zombie movie, okay, is I'm going to give you the few things that I've critiqued some of the other movies for, with the exception of Thriller, because it's pretty close to fucking perfect for what it is. Like, there's not a whole, like, I'm not good enough to critique Thriller. That's how close to perfect it is. Like, that's how I feel about it. And there's a few things like that. The things that I like about Danny Boyle's zombies is they give us a point of origin. They tell us why it happened, and then they tell you where it came from. You know what I mean? So it's like, ooh, the zombie virus came from, government
Zombie
experiment.
Strippers does that too.
Yeah, I'm gonna just wait till the punchline at the end of this one.
Okay, sorry. Just say.
All right. So you get the idea that the rage virus comes from animal testing done by the government through the science, #science. And then they break out, and then the outbreak happens similar to Dawn of the Dead, because it kind of happens in the middle of the night while they're breaking into it. Then it kind of spreads. Okay. The things that make this unique are the zombies were super fast at that point in time. Like, you didn't see Rage climbing up, staircases, flying through windows, zombies a whole lot. The Cillian Murphy, the guy who plays the main character, the guy who plays in
Peaky Blinders.
Peaky Blinders.
Oppenheimer, okay.
He wakes up, and like the whole idea of waking up in you know, the abandoned hospital in your gown and everybody being gone, losing your family. Like, he gives you that emotional tie to him, the survival of it, the companionship. They connect with the little girl, and then the dad, you know, everything that happened. Like, they give you good character development. They keep you interested by changing scenes, so it's not a monochromatic movie when you watch it. It gives you excitement. It gives you comedy. Like, if there was a director that understood what a zombie movie was supposed to watch like outside of George Romero, it was Danny Boyle.
Okay. I'm going to go last since I've dominated the last two discussions with all of my notes. So
Oh yeah, by the way, wait. And we got it all from the government and the, you know, the military. The only thing this one didn't give us was boobs. So I think that was the one side of it, is that zombie strippers is like the Wish version of 28 Days Later.
Again, I'm gonna save myself for last. We're gonna.
He's going strays out here, relentless. Oh, yeah. No, I'm a piggyback off of that last part. Like, this one of those movies is like it broke down in sections. Like, that first section was like, yo, he wakes up, you know, and seeing an abandoned, empty, you know, London. No one's out here. Then he's rescued by the two people. Then that whole second part is the dad and the little girl, you know, and their little journey. And then the last part is with all these soldiers and stuff like that, and that little, you know, compound, stuff like that. So it's broken down into like a whole different complete story. That's pretty dope. I made the joke in the first couple of minutes. Like, this was somebody was watching Powerpuff Girls, because this is how they made Mojo Jojo in real life. With the you got him watching all these screens with all this war and destruction and all this other shit. This is like that. It was given Mojo Jojo, is what I'm saying. I like the concept for these, because I mean, we're calling them zombies, but they're kind of not really, because it was a pure rage. Like, they're going in berserker mode. It's kind of like the Crazies, but
it's like a super serum.
Yeah. Like, they just became like kamikazes almost. But my listen, MVP of the movie is Selena. Like, that's if you get stuck in a situation, that's who you gotta have with you at all times. Like, it quick on the trigger. Like, the second she saw a dude had the cut on his arm, she's like, pop. That's it.
And that was her
like,
homie too.
Exactly.
Like her road dog.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
Like, I need that energy if I'm in a situation like that. Like, there's no thinking, there's no talking, there's no sympathy. Like, you know what the situation is, done. Like, I gotta have that with me. And that whole last sequence with like Jin going beast mode, like, that was pretty dope.
Bro.
That was some crazy shit. Because it almost kind of changed the idea of it, because you're watching him at the same time that you see like all the zombies, whatever, like jumping. It's like you were seeing from two different perspectives. It's like he's the hunter in 1 second and they're out there in the other. It's like, I don't know. It's hard to describe. Like, it was dope to see together.
But to come right back real quick, is the whole line from the beginning of the movie when she finds him is, if you screw up, I'll kill you in a heartbeat. And then later in the movie, when it goes into rage mode, because you've done it, Danny Boyle did the shot from the zombie's perspective, rage mode. And then when they do it at the end from his perspective, and he runs into the room with her and stops, the first thing he says to her is, that was way longer than a heartbeat. Yeah. And like that tie-in from one of the first things she says to him to that moment when he saved her, I was like, that's good storytelling in a movie. It is. It's like, yeah.
Because ideally it would have been over for him, because it's like she had no idea. She thinking like he probably turned to something, but it's like that just that second hesitation. That was good shit.
Thank you, Reese.
No doubt.
My turn. Yeah. 4 times. I was asleep 4 times trying to watch this movie. I don't remember who said this quote first, so I'm just going to attribute it to Aaliyah. If at first you don't succeed, try again, and I did, because I was enjoying it. It wasn't like it was boring and I fell asleep on it. I was struggling to get through it, like some other movies we watched on this panel. Still a Will's gimmick here, but I did enjoy it. But I did struggle to get through. I think my reason that I was struggling and falling asleep so much was because it wasn't like enough action for me at certain points in this, so that kind of took me out of it probably. Whereas like Dawn of the Dead, I was engaged. Whereas like this one, especially we were all watching it. I'm presumably watching it on the website with the random ads every 2 minutes, literally.
Oh, they're terrible.
That didn't help matters either. So it was like real easy to just kind of get disengaged at various points. If it was a little bit more zombie action, I don't want to veer too much into giving all my rating right now, but it was still solid for what it was. Shout out to Cillian Murphy. Shout out to Naomi Harris and Brendan Gleeson. Fantastic work. All GOAT status. So shout out to them. Outside of Brendan Gleeson, the other two, they weren't really well known at that point when this came out. This was 2002, I think it was.
Early 2000s.
Cillian Murphy just won a Best Actor Oscar a few months ago. Like, look how far he's come. So, crazy. This is a good move for everybody.
Katie?
Listen, we may not have gotten titties, but we got full frontal from Cillian Murphy, and I'll take that as a win for me, personally. Might not have been a win for y'all, but it's a win for me. That's all that matters. I liked the use and the not use of music throughout the movie. It was something I kind of picked up on in the first half hour. There was a lot of scenes where it was just talking or just nothingness, and it really made you think and kind of be in the moment and see what was going on. So I really liked that they did that. I'm kind of in the same boat as TC. I don't know if it's because I watched it after a long day of work and everything, but this felt like 2 hours. I was struggling, and those ads were pissing me off. I really couldn't get into it without if the ads weren't there, maybe. If I had subtitles, maybe. But other than that, it's a fine movie. I understand why Will loves it so much. I'm just after watching all of these movies, I realized I'm not a big zombie movie guy. So okay. This isn't really my shit like it is for some of y'all, but it's not a bad movie.
All right. Before I go, I want to thank everyone who's watching us live, whether you're watching us at twitch.tv/Creation World, where if you have Amazon Prime, you have Prime Gaming. If you have Prime Gaming, you link those two accounts. You get a free sub every month that you can give to your favorite Twitch streamer, who should be us here at Creation World. But if it's not us, it could be Katie over at the She Leads Showcase. It could be Will up there at Botch Spots and Chair Shots and Revan City Radio, or any other Twitch creator that you guys enjoy. Take it. Not yet. Maybe one day we can sub to Young Kings Wrestling over there on Twitch. But until then, you can support one of us or any of your favorite Twitch streamers by giving us that free sub, because you're already paying for Amazon Prime, so it costs you nothing. You guys can also be watching us live at youtube.com/Creation World, where it is free to like, to subscribe, to comment. Will, what does that do?
It boosts the algorithm and it helps find new listeners.
And Katie, why is that important?
Because you're a whore.
That is correct, ladies and gentlemen. I am a whore for your likes, for your comments, for your views, for your attention, for your entertainment. I did push-ups last night on the post show, 20 of them, banged them out real quick to entertain you and also to put Vince in his place because he was talking shit. He didn't come up and do his push-ups. He just signed the fuck off. But we're out here doing shit, right? We were lifting weights on stream. Me and Will have gone topless on stream. We got the rack. We got all sorts of crazy shit for you to keep you guys entertained. That's what I do here. I am a whore for you. But because I am a whore, listen, as much as I love you, you need to spread me around. Introduce me to your parents. Introduce me to your cousins, your sisters, your brothers, your aunts, your uncles, your friends. If you think that our content is something that someone in your family would enjoy, make sure you introduce them to us so that you can boost that algorithm and help us find new listeners, new subscribers, new people to enjoy our show, and new people to interact with us. That is what we're here for. That's what we appreciate. That's why we do this. While you're doing that, I also need you to flick that bean, hit that notification bell, get notified every time we go live, whether it is every Thursday at noon, 1 p.m. Eastern for the Creation Conversation, every Saturday, 10 p.m. Central, 11 p.m. Eastern for Smack and Raw, and every other Sunday, including tonight for Getting Off, also 10 p.m. Central, 11 p.m. Eastern. And with all that said, again, before I go, one more thing to plug, ladies and gentlemen, patreon.com/Creation World. You guys go there, and for $1 holler, like one single dollar, you get 3 shows. You get Return to Wrestling with Matt and Travis, where me and Travis sit down and we talk old school WCW. We are working our way from the very first Nitro all the way to whenever we decide to give the fuck up because it got too bad to watch. We're not there yet, but we are at Halloween Havoc 1998, famously known for the pay-per-view cutting off during the main event, and that is exactly how we watched it. DDP and Goldberg linked up, and we shut that shit off, and we will finish it next month for you guys and let you know what we thought of the match. Hogan versus Warrior, Nash versus Hall, Steiner versus Steiner. It is all there. Chucky showed up, made a little cameo. It's good shit. So come check out our thoughts on Halloween Havoc 1998. It is available now on Patreon. I am recording with my wife the next episode of If You Have to Ask, an Am I the Asshole podcast, where me and my wife sit down, go through Reddit and read Am I the Asshole posts. You get a little bit of a look into our relationship and our lives and anecdotes and fun shit there. It's a good time. Katie's been on the show a couple times, so come check that out. Again, that's at the same dollar. And if that's not really your thing, but you like comic books, we do have a show called Multiverse with Travis and Mara, where they do DC animated films. They recently just did Crisis on Infinite Earths, which just dropped on Max last month. That is available, part 1 now, so go check that out. And there's another episode that should be dropping within the next day or two as well, brand new. So once you subscribe, you get the whole back catalog, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys want to support us a little more, there are higher tiers. The more money you give us, you get more things, not less. So you get all of that plus some, including the show ad-free. But since you are watching us live, Travis has got some shit to tell you about because we have sponsors.
Tired of feeling sluggish and unfocused throughout the day? Then it's time to try Dubby, the ultimate energy source. Dubby is a powerful, clean energy drink that is designed to help you stay alert and focused no matter what life throws your way. Whether you're a student, a busy professional, an athlete, or especially a gamer, Dubby can give you the boost you need to take on the day or the night. It also contains important aminos and vitamins that canned energy drinks simply don't have. And the best part, Dubby is made with high-quality ingredients and is completely sugar-free, maltodextrin-free, and is keto-friendly. So you can enjoy the energy boost without any of the crash, jitters, or angst that comes with traditional energy drinks. Simply mix Dubby with water and you'll have a delicious, refreshing energy drink that can help you power through your entire day. And with a variety of flavors to choose from, including Galaxy Grenade, Beach and Peach, and Dragonade, you're sure to find one that you love. So go to dubby.creationworld.com and order your Dubby today. And for a limited time, use code Creatia at checkout to get 10% off your order. That's Creatia at w.creationworld.com for 10% off. Try Dubby today and feel the difference. The link is in the description.
All right, now that I have plugged all of the things, allow me to put a plug in Will's movie real quick. So, these are all actual notes that I took before Will started shitting on my pick. We woke up in a hospital post-zombie apocalypse, and Walking Dead did it better, in my personal opinion, with Rick Grimes waking up the exact same way. Rick brought it up. I kind of mentioned it. My personal definition of a zombie is a reanimated corpse. I don't necessarily consider these zombies. Now, the reason that this whole thing came up, this whole discussion was, I believe we were talking about these movies, and I told Will I was not a fan of 28 Days Later, that I only watched it once. It wasn't really for me. I hadn't gone back to it. And he was slightly offended by that opinion and wanted me to watch it again and get my opinion all these years later. My opinion has not changed. It is basically the movie Outbreak with pseudo zombies sprinkled in. A monkey bites something and it causes an outbreak, and this is just kind of what would happen if they never caught the outbreak before it spread across the world. It is what it is. I did enjoy Mad Eye Moody. We talked about Brendan Gleeson. Shout out to Mad Eye Moody from Harry Potter. It took them 2 days to make a 4-hour trip. It is 4 hours from London to Manchester, and they took 2 days to make that fucking trip. And I Googled it to make sure. Why the fuck did it take? There are zombies running around. Why the fuck were you leisurely taking 2 days to get to your destination?
That's crazy.
Neither here nor there.
Good point. That's a great point.
Right? Also, after everything that happened, they find the military. The military is like, hey, by the way, thanks for stopping by. We're going to fuck these girls. And you're going to have to be cool with that. Like, I made a promise that my boys were going to have some entertainment, and we're just going to take these women from you. And dude had to, like, go back to town and set booby traps and murder folks and break back in to save the girls and all of this. Then they like find a nice remote home out in the middle of nowhere, and they are flagging the military down again after all of this and putting SOS signs out to get rescued by the military after the last experience they had with the military trying to assault these women and basically turn them into toys for pleasure.
To be fair, they waited a month later to try that again. So they did give it some time.
Because we all know that within that month, you know, men are just no longer men.
Men ain't shit. Sorry. Just saying.
I'm gonna go first. This actually wasn't as bad as I remember it. I honestly didn't have the ad issues that you guys had watching through it. The only issue I ran into, I had ads in the beginning, and then at one point the stream just froze, and I kind of had to start it over and fast forward back to where I was, and then I got ads again. But it actually played pretty seamless for me.
Oh,
However, the issue is that you can't find this fucking movie anywhere. For it being Will's favorite movie, you can't buy this movie for less than like $100 fucking dollars, and that is a DVD copy of the motherfucker or a Blu-ray copy of that and 28 weeks later together. You cannot find it on any streaming service. It is not available. It is impossible to find and just watch. But it was not as bad as I remembered it from the first time. It was a little better. However, for me, because we talked about my favorite of the group being Dawn of the Dead, this fell right in the middle of the pack. This is a 5 out of 10 for me. This is sitting right there with See No Evil. And again, a lot of that is my bias for how I feel about zombies needing to be reanimated corpses. Katie, where do you rank it?
I think I can give it like a 6.5, I guess.
6.5? Okay.
It's again, I don't know if it's because I watched it after a long day, but I struggled real hard. Couldn't get through it. And you're lucky you didn't have all these goddamn ads. Because that shit, like TC said, I swear to God, it was like every 2 to 5 minutes. I was losing my mind.
All right, so I went to that same website to try and watch Night of the Demons 3, since we did 1 and 2. And I had the ad issue with that. And also it was a version of the movie where like they did the mirror, so everything was backwards. And I got so tired of watching this movie that way that I just went and bought the fucking Blu-ray, and now I own it, and I watched it on Blu-ray so I could get through the fucking movie because I couldn't find a decent copy of it. And again, that one also wasn't streaming, but I could find and buy a copy of that movie, so I did. Was it worth the money I spent on it? Maybe not. Did I enjoy it? It was all right. It wasn't terrible, but yeah, no, I didn't have, luckily, those issues streaming it. So Kate, this is the one movie that Kate wanted to watch with me because she remembered seeing it, and she's like, I haven't seen that in forever. So we sat down and watched it together. I cast it from my phone to the TV, and we watched it on the TV. So it was all right. Will, do you have any rebuttals for my thoughts, and or how do you rank this movie?
I think the scene in the tunnel where it was like caved in and full of traffic maybe put a little bit of a hiccup in the whole, it's only 4 hours, blah, 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 blah. Like that whole scene and the trouble they had to cross that one tunnel kind of explained it. Having to stop for gas was also a big one. The flat tire, having to deal with some of those things, like these things would have explained it a little bit. There is also in movies the suspension of disbelief. So I think somebody, I think you get what that is, though, as both a wrestling fan as a fan of zombie strippers.
I will explain zombie strippers when we get to me. All right, I will explain that.
Fucking movie. I'm so excited.
So I that's really it. Like, it's fair. I get why it's not your cup of tea. Like, that's not the issue with it. Like, that's fine. Like with Katie, like she doesn't like zombie movies. Like, that's cool. Like, I get that. Like, yeah.
Okay. So where do you rank it on the scale?
I give this this is an 8 out of 10, same as Dawn of the Dead.
Okay.
My favorite zombie movie, not a perfect movie by any means.
Well, so you gave it an 8, she gave it a 6.5, I gave it a 5. Start writing those down so you can get your average out, because I know Thriller was an 8. Dawn of the Dead ended up averaging out to about an 8. We all did an 8 except for Reek gave it a 9. Reek, where do you rank this?
I'm gonna give it a good 7.
7.
Might not be my favorite on the list, but I see it as pretty solid. Like, it is lengthy, I'm not gonna lie about that, but outside of that, there was a lot of shit that I liked from this. So
I don't like lengthy, I like girthy, and this movie was not girthy for me. So
what did you give it, Reek?
I give it a 7.
Okay.
TC?
I'm with Katie. I'm gonna give it a 6.5. Same exact reasons. Watching it at midnight every single time I attempted to watch it did me no favors, and that was probably the problem. Whereas, but honestly, I couldn't even at least make it like an hour each time because it was kind of slow. But the monkeys and shit at the beginning were crazy. I will say it did pick up around the third act though, around with the military just committing, especially heinous crimes against, the women who are surviving. And then Cillian Murphy had to come in and save the day. Like, it started getting busy. So I started, bringing it up. Probably would have gave it a 6 before that. So I'm just give it a good 6.5. The ending, Matt made a good point. Why are you going back to that same military? But like I said, some time passed. Maybe they felt a little bit better about it. It wasn't a bad movie. It just
No.
If you cut out, maybe it was some filler in there. I don't know, because I can't remember where I even fell asleep at initially. So it was hard to kind of pick up where and when, but take a little bit of filler out. You might have a little bit of a more digestible movie for somebody who stayed up late, had a little bit more action to it. You can raise that up maybe another 1.5, but yeah, 6.5 is what I'm giving it.
I feel like the shopping scene and then the picnic scene where they were just in the countryside, that was like trying to give it a little breath and a little brevity in there between all the zombie shit. I don't know. The shopping stuff was cool. I don't know if I needed them to go sit down on a riverbank and have a picnic and then all cuddle up and take a nap and wake up and start driving with Cillian Murphy trying to hop in the car because they're driving away because he woke up late. Like, I feel like that 15, 20 minutes probably could have been cut and synced it up a little bit. I'm with you on that. Where are we at for an average there?
That was 6.6.
Okay, so we had an average of just over 8. So right now, Dawn of the Dead had the best average, then Thriller, and then 28 Days Later. Let's see how Katie's pick of The Crazies fares. Katie, why The Crazies?
Because when I thought zombie movies, for some reason, this is the first one I fucking thought of. Mind you, I think I've seen one scene of this movie before actually watching it for this panel. I gotta say, Timothy Olyphant, hell of a leading man there. I think he did a fantastic job as a sheriff. I was gonna save this. Danielle Panabaker has the worst fucking luck as one of the final girls in a movie I've ever fucking seen.
Yeah.
The disrespect this poor girl is shown. We really thought she was gonna be one of the final girls in Friday the 13th remake. Nah, machete through the fucking chest. Really thought she was gonna be one of the final girls in this. No. A fucking car wash cable around the neck. Boom. Hung.
That whole scene was crazy though.
Like, what the fuck? It's disrespectful. That made me really mad. Like, madder than it needed to be, but I got real heated at that. Because she can't get a win. I don't know which one came out first. Someone can check that for me, but she really can't get a fucking win.
This was first. Actually, no. No, Friday the 13th was first, my bad. It was a year
This
before.
was 2010. Friday the 13th was 2009.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, she can't. My girl can get a goddamn win. Disrespectful. No, I kind of like this movie. We've got action. I don't like fast zombies. I'm gonna say that. Like, zombies can't be. I don't like it. I don't like you fast fuckers. You can either like have a little bit of like your brain left and like kind of understand what you're doing, or you can be fast. Sometimes you can't be both. It's not fair. The scene in, I guess it was like the high school when the sheriff's wife like had a fever, and then they like took her and put her in the room and strapped her down, and then the principal who was infected by the drinking water, because that was the thing,
Pitchfork.
came through and started stabbing people with the fucking pitchfork. That's the scene I remember watching as a child. Probably traumatized me, which is why I don't like it. That was crazy. But I don't know. I kind of like this movie. I wasn't mad at it. I felt myself like fully invested, like kind of like put the headphones on. I was in it, you know? And I don't know why this was the first one I thought of, but maybe it's because the poster.
Okay.
Iconic.
A couple things, and then I'm gonna let everyone else go, and I'll finish up with my stuff. This had some of my favorite moments. Zombie, and I'm gonna quote that again because it's the rage virus again, related. You talked about the car wash. I literally put Becca got hung out to dry at the car wash because she did.
That's great.
But that whole the zombies in the car wash attacking the car thing, it might kind of like, I might have a personal bias to it because we had a haunted car wash near us, and my grandma went through there in a new car and she didn't know how the locks worked, and she was trying to lock the door, and someone saw her and then was like, open the door, and scared the shit out of my grandma years ago in a car wash. And it is one of my favorite stories that my mom has ever told me about them taking my grandma through there and her just trying to get like the door. So every time I think of that, but also you talked about them being in the quarantine, strapped to the beds, and dude coming through, like the tension in a lot of these scenes, I feel like was a higher tension than you felt in a lot of the movies and short films that we watched. That part I appreciated. I also feel like there was a lot of stuff kind of hinted at and touched on that never got fully fleshed out. And because we didn't get like, at least I don't know that there was a Crazies 2. We never really got an explanation of what the fuck was actually going on. But
they were just fucking with people.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like there was the government kind of monitoring and making decisions and doing things, but we never really got the full fleshed, like what the fuck was going on sort of deal. I mean, just like
it was some Resident Evil shit. They knew what was happening. They were just monitoring from a distance and they're like, all right, well, let's see how this town's, blow this town up. Now that that's done, let's go to the next one. Let's see how they work it out.
They were monitoring, they were allowing things to happen before they just decided to wipe it off, and they still continued to monitor and let people. They could have stopped them from getting to the next town and infecting the next town. They were just kind of up there with a drone watching shit, and we don't know why they were allowing this to spread through these towns in fucking Iowa or Nebraska or wherever the fuck they were.
I don't know how to
somewhere in the Midwest.
tell you this, Matt, but this might come as a shock, but the government doesn't give a shit about us.
Well,
no.
that I will give them credit for, because like, so when we watched 28 Days Later, or we watched not so much Dawn of the Dead because they didn't have much, but like 28 Days Later, they sent in the military. They were trying to put up blockades. They were trying to like help the situation. I much more feel like should something like this happen, the nuke the city option is probably what our government would actually go with. The news story cover up that we got mid credits about what happened is more in line with what would actually happen than like them actually trying to save lives or help people out. So I will give them that.
I mean, in my notes, I did have as like because I wrote it as like spits and swallows, military or pussies as a spit. So they real big pussies in that movie. So
Mm-hmm.
just saying.
TC Reek, thoughts?
Yeah, man. This is why I tell people to stay out of Iowa. And shit like this goes down. But I will say, this is probably the scariest type of zombie. Whereas like you have the zombies, you know, the Walking Dead types or whatever, they just go and bite you, they infect you, and then you just go and do the whole thing that they're doing, and it's just the cycle repeats, right? But this type of zombie is more in line with like this movie reminded me of COVID, kind of. Like it reminded me of the pandemic, where it's just like some shit goes down, and then like, whereas COVID, I think it was more of a psychological thing, whereas like everybody has to shut down their entire life across the entire globe. Everybody had to shut down everything, and people weren't used to that. People aren't used to staying inside. So psychologically, that makeup changed so many people, where people just have been acting a different type of insane in the last 4 years than before. And this is kind of what this reminded me of, where it's like, it's not your general, like people just going around just killing folks because that's what it's causing them to do. It's like the pitchforks thing. Dude just walked up in there and just like stabbing the shit out of people with the pitchforks. Like, I think it was like the doctor, the medical examiner, I believe it was. Yeah, like that dude was just like going crazy, and he was doing his own thing. So like, yeah, it was a scary type of zombie. What else do I have in my notes here? To quote the great Nevadius Wilburn, "Fuck Russell." Reek understands what I mean.
Yeah, I love this movie. I really do. I saw it when it first came out. I went with my cousins, and the thing was, my cousins was always into horror movies. And for y'all that know, like I was pussy about horror movies throughout those first couple of years as a kid. So going to see this, for them to come out and say like, "Yo, that got me shook," because it was just like I said, it was so different. Like the jump scares were different and inventive and stuff like that. But then it's like they just subvert expectation. Like the first dude that got infected at the house with the wife and kid, he's walking around with the knife, and then they're hiding in the closet. Then when he shows up, it's like that jump scare is like, oh shit, it's about to go down. But no, like dude just pours gasoline all through the house and lights the shit on fire. Like, and that's where it's like I don't even like calling them zombies, because this even more so than 28 Days Later was just like it was something different, because we're not talking about just some mindless cannibalism shit. Like, no, this is deliberate. Like everything that happens that they do is specific. Dude with the pitchfork, that was specific. You know what I'm saying? Like anything that they did was intentional. And then when they talked about it, it's like they were basically creating some kind of a bioweapon that went wrong, and now all of this is in the water. So they drink this water, and all of a sudden now it's just like their mind shifts. Like the guys when dudes set the house on fire, he just sitting outside just whistling and shit like that. It's almost like they're psychotic, but it's different. It's completely different. But yeah, I mean that, and it's like the movie was just so like raw. You know what I'm saying? You know, you had the military come in there, and now it's like they're not even so much, not even so much doing containment. It's just like, nah, like you go here, you go there, and if you got something to say, pop, we're shooting you and you burning you alive. Like it was just intense from start to finish. So like out of all the movies on this list, like this one was it for me.
Okay. Will?
A lot of things have already been said. There are a couple notes that weren't. One of the hits I took and gave it was again very monochromatic. It was the same. It seemed like it was the same color scheme the whole time. Like the editor put that blue.
Have you ever been to Iowa?
Yes.
Yeah. This looked like a small town Iowa.
Well,
It really did.
I think like the way they kind of tinted everything was not for me, but going back and looking at the shit people were doing in 2010 with the way horror movies were shot and the way they did it, like this was that stereotypical horror movie for 2010 though. A lot of the things they did, like runaway vehicles, like the truck full of dudes running into the place where they had all the zombies quarantined anyways, like of all the buildings you could have picked or things you could have ran down to get your point across, you ran into the horde of zombies. That seemed pretty odd to me. Katie brought up a good point with the water source, because at the very beginning of the movie, you get a very key aspect of what happened, because this is through shot from the beginning of the baseball game through the day, into the night, through into the next day, all of that. It's all one big long shot, right? First thing in the morning, he gets his coffee. The principal cracks that stupid joke, and then he drops it. And they zoom in on the fact that he doesn't drink his coffee. And then you find out that everybody else in the city was contaminated because of the water. Like that was a cool little like foreshadowing thing that you got there, because he didn't drink it. Overall, it was okay. I felt like this one was very highs and lows. Lots of really high points. And then there were some points, like you were saying about 28 Days Later. I was kind of like, okay, this seemed long for it to be. Other taking Thriller out of the equation as a music video and short film, like this one felt like the longest, even though it was the second shortest of the other four movies. But it felt like the longest watch to me. That's the biggest critique I think I can give it. I would also throw in the fact that the military was way more organized in this one than they were in Zombie Strippers.
That is not true.
He has literally shit on Zombie Strippers every movie we've
Well,
talked
don't
about.
worry, because it's the next movie, and he'll get to shit on it fully. You won't have to take side shots. We'll get there.
Shit fun.
The last two things that we didn't talk about that I have in my notes. Judy, Timothy Oliphant's wife, was mistaken for being pregnant due to having a fever. Because, like you guys talked about, okay, so the source is the water, and then eventually they say that it is now in the air, which I think that was my biggest issue is, again, for me, a zombie movie is a certain thing, right? And the way that this spread wasn't through bites or scratches or whatever. It was literally COVID. It was a disease. It was in the water. Then eventually it became airborne. Because, again, confused. So we had a lot of people in the movie who were violent, unresponsive. We talked about dude that burned his house down and all that shit. The guy that showed up the baseball field that ended up getting shot, like not responding. And then we have one zombie who was Rory's wife, who had her wits about her and was telling her son, kill that motherfucker. He killed your daddy. Like, completely knew what the fuck she was doing and was cognizant and having conversations and shit. And he stabbed her in the neck with the knife that was sticking out of his hand. And my first thought was, blood and blood. I don't care if it's airborne or in the water. You are now infected. And he was not. And that bugged the shit out of me. Like, one thing I know about disease, the only way for sure you are getting it is swapping fluids, whether it is STDs or any other disease. You mix your blood with someone else's blood and they've got that shit, you're getting it, period. So that bothered me just a little bit.
Well, what should really get you Aggie is the fact that he didn't get infected, but somehow still to this day don't know how the deputy got it, because he just like.
Well, they did say
delirium.
Deputy was all like, my house is closer to the water source than yours is, so it didn't make it as far down the river to my house as it did yours. or whatever. So
I love that you
he
gave
did
it a
explain.
real Midwestern accent.
Yeah, they did explain the fucking travel. Listen, I've spent some time in Iowa. I lived like 45 minutes outside of Davenport. We're gonna talk zombie strippers. Most of my strip club experiences were in Iowa, so we're gonna get there. But yeah, TC, 1 out of 10. What are you giving it?
I'll give it a good 7. Like certain points were hard for me to follow, maybe because I was at work and I was just trying to, do work. I do work. But outside of that, like it was solid. It wasn't bad. I think also what really hampered it for me is I watched it immediately after Dawn of the Dead. So it was kind of like a cool down for the most part. And so that kind of was just like it was less intense. So I was less engaged. I was more more so about doing work and focusing on that. Whereas it's like it was kind of like background noise, but it was still, easy to follow for the most part.
All right.
I'll give it a 7.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 9. Like I said, it's out of this group, it's just above Dawn of the Dead for me. Like there was a lot of subverting expectation going on, so I was here for it.
Okay. Will?
I'd say 7. Some of the things that a lot of the same reasons that you guys hit 28 Days Later is the same reason I hit this one. So I think it's just more of a which flavor of tea we wanted to drink that day kind of thing, because I felt like the crazies felt really long in places. I felt like they could have cut parts out and it would have kept the story going a little bit more. So overall, I'd give it a 7.
Okay. Katie?
I'm also going to give this a 9. I think this might have been my favorite one we watched. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 9. I didn't really have much besides like the military. Like I didn't have much issue with this movie and Daniel Panabaker, but that's a personal grievance I got, and I'll take up with people later.
Danielle Panabaker, Timothy Oliphant. No, I'm giving this a 6. So I'm bumping this right above 28 Days Later because again, same trope, rage virus versus zombie virus, which is why I'm putting it where I'm putting it. However, again, this had more scenes of intensity and suspense for me that I enjoyed than 28 Days Later did. So I'm up. So we got 2 7s, 2 9s, and a 6, Will?
2 7s, 2 9s, and a 6. 7 plus 7 plus 9 plus 9 plus 6 divided by 5 is 33. Wait, that's a 6.64.
Okay.
So almost identical to 28 Days Later.
Yep, right there. All right. So you guys want to know why I made you watch Zombie Strippers?
We know why.
You guys can blame you guys can blame my wife for that. So I had 2 movies in mind for this because I didn't know what you guys were gonna pick, and I had assumptions, right? I thought we're probably gonna get Shaun of the Dead or Zombieland. I thought those 2 were for sure gonna be on here. I wanted to do something different. I knew what Will was going with, but he was the only one outside of TC when I asked him if he wanted to do zombies, and he said, "Can I do Thriller?" before he agreed to do the panel. So those were the only 2 movies coming in that I knew we were getting for sure. So I want to do something different. So your options were Zombie Strippers and Pet Sematary 2. I let my wife pick which movie you guys were going to watch. And initially she picked Pet Sematary 2, but when I told her what the other option was, she goes, "No, that's funnier. Make them watch Zombie Strippers." So that is why you guys ended up with Zombie Strippers. It was Kate's choice. Now, I do own this movie. All right. I own this movie because, as Will said, he talked about enjoying bad movies that are bad for being bad. This movie is fully self-aware that they made a bad movie. It is very much of its time. There are George Bush's 4th term jokes. It is very much like the most in-your-face, tropiest bullshit for these kind of movies with the military and how the military acts in this situation, the super Marines and shit like that. It's also got Robert Englund and Jenna Jameson, and Tito Ortiz playing a bouncer, and I believe this was around the time that him and Jenna were together. The one like truly cool thing that I like about this movie, outside of nudity and disgusting stripper-based zombie stuff, is the fact that the idea that strip clubs are done prohibition style in this timeline.
Yep.
Like, I like prohibition strip clubs. I like the idea of like underground strip clubs, because that kind of stuff from the conservative side of the country has been banned, and we're not supposed to enjoy ourselves. So you can't do that. So you have to go underground to do that. So I did enjoy that. What do I got here? Zombie virus created by the government again. The Christian girl that turns to stripping to pay for her grandma's colostomy bag.
Yep.
I will say again, this was I think it was 04. Was it 04? Hold on.
I think so. Sounds right.
06.
06, yeah. So there was a bit of poorly imitated Eastern Europeanism and blatant fucking racism. Which was not really strange in 2006. A lot of weird stripper philosophies, like the one stripper they were like reading fucking Niche, and they were giving us life advice, very eloquent life advice, while also doing their thing. And listen, this is the only movie that gave us a zombie strip off with superpowers on the pole. Super strength, super spinning, and super vagina shooting powers. She shot pool balls out of her vagina.
She did. That happened.
And no other movie gave us that. So,
but them taking 2 days to make a 4-hour trip was just too much for you, though. It was just too much for you.
Again, this movie was meant to be stupid, and I love it because it's meant to be stupid. So, All right, go ahead, Will. Have fun.
First and foremost, I would like to thank YouTube and Adobe University, because I feel like in the 3 short years I've been using these to learn how to edit, I could probably do a better job editing a full-length film than what was done for this movie, on purpose or not. Like, it looked like it was done in iMovie. I will say the practical effects when she shot her up at the end of the movie and like her skin blew off and then her bones started disintegrating, I was like, that was like overly stupid and good. Jenna Jameson naked at any point is going to be a swallow for me. Robert Englund was also a swallow, so I didn't hate the whole thing. And I double took when I saw him. I was like, is that fucking Robert Englund? So I like pulled up IMDb and was like looking at it while I was watching the movie going, holy fuck, that's him. Zombie syphilis at the end where she, squatted on him and gave her the smelly clam and the face dance, as it were, and the panties like stuck to the wall. I was like, okay, like there was lots of silliness to it. And I guess knowing that they wanted to shoot a bad movie gives it a little bit of leeway. But even bad movies that are intentionally bad don't have to be technically bad. Like, this movie looked like it was shot on a cell phone. It looked like it was edited in iMovie. Like, there were cool parts, but for the most part, I was like, this is struggle bus. Like, struggle bus. I don't think I've ever in my life like almost stopped a movie, and I'm glad that I didn't, because I didn't want to be the only person on the panel to not finish it. But it had lots of boobs, so okay. I mean, at the very least, it had boobies.
Raise your hands if you actually watched this movie all the way through.
So
Race is the only one that.
Yeah, so Reek was the only one who didn't.
Yeah, I tapped out.
All right. Well, tell us why, Reek. Why'd you tap out?
Jesus Christ. First and foremost, Kate, if you're watching, I just need to know why. Like, we all have appreciation for you. You know, I think we're all pretty cool. I don't know why you subjected us to this, but I feel some type of way about it. I just need you to know.
I'll play this for her later.
Yeah, you make sure you do that. Right off the bat, True Value, Major Pain. I don't know what the situation was there. I get it was going to be bad acting all the way through, but goddamn, this was just like nonsense. And the Robert Englund thing was the only thing that was keeping me as long as it did, because you know I'm gonna watch for that. But he had on the Freddy themed jacket. It was basically if Freddy ran a strip club. That's really what was going on here, without all the makeup on. But my biggest gripe, and this is why I put a timer on how long I was going to watch it, 13 and a half minutes to get the strippers. You got a movie about strippers, and I got to wait 13 and a half minutes to get to the damn strippers. You got all this bullshit about them going and with the military crew and shooting up zombies and shit like that. 13 and a half minutes I got to wait to see some damn strippers. Now, hey, listen. Once we get there, it gets a little better. But then the girl with the fucking the religious, and she got Jesus on her mirror and all this shit, but she working in a strip club. Like, no, it was, the acting was porno quality. I was watching the porno, but nobody was getting smashed. It's like, what are we doing this for? Like, so I got about almost an hour in, and I was like, yeah, I can't do it no more.
Oh, you only had like 30 minutes left.
Yeah, it's only a 90-minute movie too.
I couldn't do it no more. Like I tried my best. This was
I think
struggle.
What was most glaring to me in this rewatch, it was crazy to me because Will said seeing Jenna Jameson naked anytime is a swallow. It is how much my opinion of what I find attractive in a woman has changed from 2006 to 2024, because like Jenna doesn't, like, she was it, right? She was the porn star, the biggest porn star in the world. This was a little past her prime, but like she was it. And she was not doing it for me. I preferred the jealous brunette to Jenna personally, body type wise and everything. Like, Jenna has no meat, no hips, no nothing below the. It wasn't for me at this point, and I it surprised me a little bit. I was like, I remember you were everything for a while. Like, Val Venus had you in videos, and everyone knew your name. You were the most famous porn star in the world, and here you are. And I'm like, eh. But TC, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. This is the most Matt Ritter movie I've ever seen. So I'm watching this, and I'm like, the whole time while I'm not enjoying it, I'm looking like I can see why he enjoys this movie. So it started off with some exposition, which I did appreciate, because if you're gonna make a bad movie, you can at least explain context to what's going on initially. So they said we got a fourth Bush term, which once I heard that, I'm like, this is about to be the scariest shit I have ever watched. Honestly. Apparently, this movie takes place in Nebraska. That's where I'm from. I'm from Nebraska. I've never seen a good movie set in Nebraska. A lot of people love Belly. I fucking hate Belly. Can't stand Belly. It's one of the movies. We got like a Huey P. Newton cosplay. I don't know what that was about. Some random light-skinned dude that was just real suspicious of everything. It was just, yeah, what that was about was crazy. Random Tito Ortiz cameo. He's a bouncer that's kind of a pussy and is scared to do his fucking job. We got zombie blowjobs, which I feel like you ain't heard about what happened to the last people that keep going in here getting these lap dances. They're not coming out alive. So, yeah, but that's capitalism. That's promotion. That's marketing. You can get people to buy into anything, and these people are buying in to zombie lap
Sex
dances
sells.
very easily. Yeah, indeed. At one point during one of those lap dances, the stripper afterwards says, "Death is good." And I had to agree with her because there were multiple points in this film where I felt like dying myself and I could not get through it. There was a good about 3 or 4 times where I had to just stop the movie, not on some 28 days later where I'm just exhausted and I'm just falling asleep. No, 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 no. I'm having to stop this movie and debate with myself if I want to finish it. Well, I almost didn't, but I said, "Y'all got 20 minutes. I made it this far. Let me finish this movie." And I can't tell you a damn thing that happened in the last 20 minutes. I just turned it on just to say that I got through the rest of it. Titties are not enough to keep me invested. I'm sorry.
Okay. Fair.
Same.
I'm with Will.
Katie.
There's bad filmmaking. That's what it is.
A B-list
I
movie
couldn't-
doesn't have to mean bad technique. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So like you could have did a little bit better in that regard. I understand if you're filming on a budget, but you got to do a little bit better than that. Robert Englund could not give this any swag either. So love him,
He owes,
but he couldn't
owes
do
somebody
it.
a favor. He owes somebody a favor.
He did.
That was like evident.
Or he might have been broke. Either or.
He has done some really off the wall B obscure horror movie bullshit. So this did not surprise me, especially back then. But so Katie, you have now seen the Night of the Demons remake, Barricade, and Zombie Strippers. Is Barricade still the worst movie you've had to watch for this show?
Oh fuck.
It can't be. There's no way.
But did you watch Barricade?
So here's the thing: Barricade is probably shot better, but
It's definitely shot better, but it like at least Zombie Strippers like kind of made sense. Barricade, the sense is gone. There's nothing. It was a waste of my. I mean, this was also like, but at least with Zombie Strippers, it was like so bad it was funny. Like I was laughing out loud with how shitty it was with like the dialogue. Barricade was just straight up bad. Like I didn't laugh, I didn't cry, I didn't feel anything except very
No titties.
fucking confused. No titties? Like come on. No, Zombie Strippers is better than Barricade. Barricade's a fucking awful movie.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't seen Barricade, but if it's anything like the most disappointing movie I've seen and relates to zombie infection, whatever, it can't be worse than It Comes at Night. Because It Comes at Night was legitimately the most disappointing thing I've ever seen in a movie theater next to the Fantastic Four from 2015. I was mad I spent money for that because the trailers promised me one thing, and then I sat up there for almost 2 hours and watched something completely different. It was pissed off and aggravated at the end of it. So if Barricade is anything like that, then you might have me.
Well, we do have a panel episode possibly coming up if it wins for that. That was Movies That We Hate was very high up there on the list. Horror Movies That We Hate was up there, but Will campaigned hard to get this. Katie, any other Zombie Stripper thoughts before we rate this?
I don't like the fact that they basically ripped off Resident Evil at the very end. Like almost shot for shot. That shit pissed me off. I will not lie. Like, oh, a scientist says, "Oh yeah, I did it. I released this virus. I set it loose in a lab." What the fuck happened in the first Resident Evil? The exact same goddamn thing. And it was like the way they shot it too, with like him running to the bitches for some coffee. Pissed me off. I got beef. Got beef. That's it.
All right. I'll go first, and I'll be honest. This is a 3 out of 10 for me. It was not. It's not a good movie. I'm not going to rate it high as a movie. It's not. I enjoy it for all of the reasons that make it awful, but me enjoying it and me rating it as a good movie are completely different on the scale. So I'm giving it a 3. Katie.
I think I can safely give it like a 2.5.
All right. Will.
This is the first time, like, this is gonna be my one for the Ritter scale. Like, if I see a movie, like, did I dislike it as bad as I like? Is it laughably bad? Because again, like TC and like Reek, like I almost stopped watching it. Like, as a movie pushed me to the point that I almost not want to finish it because of how bad I feel it is. So, and no matter how terrible this movie is, I love you, Mateo. I want that to be
I feel
said.
the same way about you in 28 Days Later. Well, it's all good.
That's fine.
Reek?
I'm going to the basement, y'all. 0.5. And that 0.5 is purely for the titties. I will never forgive Kate for doing this, though. Like, the fact that I couldn't finish it, I can't give it a 1 if I can't finish the movie. So 0.5.
He said incomplete. TC.
You said I.
When I finished this earlier, I immediately went and gave it a 0.5 on Letterboxd. I am not going to deviate from that today. Same thing.
All right. I don't even think you need to average that out, Will. Obviously, Zombie Strippers.
Oh no, let me get the numbers. I want to know what it is. What
No,
is it?
that average. Katie's 2.5 and your 3 gave us a 1.5 average for Zombie
Hoorah.
Strippers.
Better than Barricade. Let's go.
So it finished just barely ahead of Barricade on average, just because
yeah.
Katie's 2.5 and your 3.
All right. So if I'm not mistaken, Dawn of the Dead, highest rating with just above an 8.
Yeah.
Then Thriller, right below that with a 7.8. We gave it an 8. You said The Crazies and 28 Days Later were pretty much exactly
Like
the same.
6.46 and 6.64. Like they were literally like, if you go by math, rounds up and rounds out, the Crazies would be the one on top because they got it by 0.2 points.
So The Crazies, 28 Days Later, and then way down the scale, Zombie Strippers, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you guys for joining us. Is that how you'd rank everything personally, TC? Is that about right for you, where everything fell?
Yeah.
Reek?
I would say that.
You probably got The Crazies higher on your personal. Because you and Katie like that probably the most, right, Reek?
Oh, yeah. I got Crazies at the top. Other than that, it's pretty much about the same.
And Will, I'm assuming you have 28 Days Later a little higher than where it falls on the scale.
Again, Thriller, but it's in kind of its own little standpoint. The top 3 for the other side, though, 28 Days Later, and then The Crazies flip-flopped them. Because I would have put 28 Days Later, then Dawn of the Dead, then The Crazies.
All right. Katie?
Listen, Crazy is fucking cool. I think it deserves to be a little higher on the overall list, but that's just me.
All right. Well, I want to thank you guys for joining us for our panel of the dead. If you guys enjoyed this, make sure you guys stay tuned in about 2 months when we have our next panel episode to vote and let us know what you want the next panel episode to be on. Let us know how you felt about the Getting Off / Ritter scale of ranking these movies. What zombie movies you guys wanted to see that we didn't talk about. Maybe we run zombie movies back with different movies. There's plenty of them out there. Katie does not want that. So if you want to see Katie suffer, you can always do that.
I have a list of like 18 other fucking things we can do. We should probably get through that first.
I meant eventually. I didn't mean next, Katie. I'm not going to put it on the poll next. This isn't Zombie Strippers. It's just not the next thing on the poll. Anyway, TC, please tell everyone, because you guys just recorded the latest episode of Young Kings Wrestling. Tell us about that, where they can find it.
Yeah, catch us tomorrow. Brand new episodes every Monday. Young Kings Wrestling podcast. Check us out, YKWrestling.com. Follow us all social media, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, at YK Wrestling. Me personally, you can follow me. I don't really post anywhere, so you don't got to follow me nowhere. But do check out my photography page, FOY.flicks. If you're in Las Vegas, anybody, book with me. I come cheap. No polls.
I was going to say, that's the tagline of Zombie Strippers. Reek, Go ahead and plug yourself.
Yeah, y'all can find me at Recap24 everywhere. You can find the precursor to Getting Off podcast, which is the Havoc Hour, and I talk sports on there as well. But you can find it everywhere: Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and the video versions are up on YouTube as well.
Mr. Will Gray.
I am the Will Graham, the host and lead writer of Botch Bots and Share Shots. If you check my link tree at the Will Gray, you'll find everything I do for Botch Bots and Share Shots, Rivet City Radio, Off the Top Media, and my writing profile for Last Word on Sports.
Katie.
You can follow me on Twitter, KateWrestling13. The link to about is All Things She Showcase, twitch.tv/She Showcase, and youtube.com/She Showcase, 6:15 to 6:30-ish EST, give or take.
Ish.
Yeah. That's really it. I don't have to plug in on anything else.
All right. You guys can follow me at Matt Ridders, MATTRIDDER, on Twitter only for your wrestling content, at Getting Off for your horror content, and everywhere else on socials, whether it's TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky, or Instagram at Smacking It Raw. And that'll get you a little bit of everything. For Young Kings Wrestling, Botch Spots and Chair Shots, the She Lead Showcase, I am the patron saint of podcasting, the Warden Matt Ritter, and this has been your #1 horror podcast on places where you can find people having sex on the internet.